Welcome to Rise Diary. In today's video, we're going to explore an idea that cuts to the very heart of the human experience. An idea that explains not just how we grow, but how we survive, how we find meaning, how we carry ourselves with dignity through suffering, and ultimately, how we build something greater than ourselves. Let me say this as clearly as I can. If you want to move forward in life in a strong, healthy, resilient way, not just for your own benefit, but to participate meaningfully in a society that is grounded in unity and purpose, then you must be willing to sacrifice your lower self for your higher self. This isn't just philosophical poetry. This is the core of human development. Maturation, at its deepest level, is the act of willingly giving up short-term pleasure, selfish indulgence, and shallow gratification in service of something higher, something larger, something noble. Because let's be honest, your lower self is real. It's that part of you that seeks comfort over challenge, pleasure over purpose, and immediacy over depth. And if you don't choose to rise above it, it will run your life into the ground. The price of freedom, of meaning, of inner strength is the voluntary death of that lower self. But here's the catch: it's not just about you. This sacrifice isn't just for your personal gain, it's also the foundation of any real community. That's right. At the very center of a functioning, united society lies a profound act, the voluntary sacrifice of the self. This is not metaphorical, it's architectural. Picture it like a structure. At the core, there's the altar, the place of sacrifice. Around that, the church. Surrounding the church, the town. Beyond the town, the state. And eventually, the nation. But it all rests on one thing: the spirit of self-sacrifice. Without it, none of the rest holds. You cannot have a meaningful life or a functioning society without individuals willingly carrying burdens that are not just for their own comfort, but for something bigger than themselves. Now, here's a truth many people avoid. You don't get to opt out of carrying a burden in life. That's not one of the options. The only choice you get is which burden you will carry. Either you voluntarily shoulder a load, or life will drop one on you that you're not prepared for. And believe me, that kind of burden crushes people. You can pick up a cross or wait for one to fall on your back. There is no scenario where life doesn't demand sacrifice. There's no version of existence that spares you suffering. So the only real question is whether your suffering will be meaningful or meaningless. And that's where most people go wrong. They cling to hedonism. They believe the goal of life is to feel good, to chase pleasure, to escape pain. But when hardship inevitably strikes, and it always does, that entire philosophy collapses. Why? Because pleasure is paper thin. It's an illusion that crumbles at the first sign of reality. And deep down, people know it. That's why so many modern lives are plagued by both indulgence and hopelessness. It's the deadly combination of comfort and despair. We're drowning in luxury, yet starving for meaning. Because you can fill your life with pleasure and still be completely empty inside. You can distract yourself every minute of the day and still feel like your soul is withering. Why? Because life is heavy, and to make it bearable, you need something heavier to carry, something so meaningful that it justifies the weight of existence itself. This idea isn't new. It's ancient. It's woven into our deepest stories, our myths, our religious texts. Look at the story of Abraham, a foundational figure, not just in the Bible, but in the architecture of Western civilization. Abraham begins as an ordinary man. In fact, less than ordinary. He's idle, wealthy, comfortable, passive. A man living in what we might call today an infantile utopia. No struggle, no purpose, just luxury and ease. But then something happens. A voice speaks to him. A spirit calls him to rise. And that voice doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It doesn't promise ease. It commands him, get up, get out, leave your comfort, step into the unknown. You were not made to rot in luxury. You were made for more. That voice is the same voice that calls to you every time you feel a sense of potential stirring deep inside you. Every time you look in the mirror and know you could be more. Every time your conscience whispers that the path you're on is too small for who you truly are. And what does Abraham do? He obeys. He leaves his tent. And what follows is not ease, it's catastrophe after catastrophe. Tyrants. War. betrayal, loss, even the call to sacrifice his own son. But what is it really? It's an adventure, a divine, meaningful adventure that forges him into the father of nations. He becomes not just a man, but a symbol, an archetype of what it means to transform yourself and the world through faith and sacrifice. And that raises the question, what is life? Is it a hedonistic paradise, a playground of easy gratification? Or is it a grand adventure filled with danger, pain, and meaning? Look around. What do people pay money to see? What kinds of stories move them, inspire them, stay with them? It's the adventure stories, the tales of struggle and courage. Why? Because that's what resonates with the truth in our bones. People don't want a life of basic income and endless comfort. That's the lie of modernity. Deep down, they want to be part of something heroic. They want to face dragons. They want to build something that matters. And when they can't find that in reality, they seek out fake versions of it, false adventures, distractions, addictions, and it ruins them. So let's get serious about this. Let's talk about the core crisis of our age, the loss of meaning. We live in a world so complex, so overwhelming, that it's easy to get lost. And the postmodernists were right about one thing. There are infinite ways to interpret anything. Whether it's a book, a moment, or life itself, meaning isn't fixed. It's constructed. But here's where the postmodern critique collapses. Just because meaning isn't absolute doesn't mean it's irrelevant. Not all interpretations are equal. Some give you strength, coherence, direction. Others leave you shattered. If everything is just a matter of opinion, then nothing matters. If all paths are the same, why walk at all? And that kind of relativism doesn't free people. It breaks them. Psychologically, spiritually, even physically. When your life lacks structure, your mind begins to fracture. Your body suffers. Your immune system weakens. Your stress hormones spike. Why? Because your brain is wired to function within meaning. Without it, your system goes haywire. What sustains human beings, what truly energizes us, isn't comfort. It's purpose. It's striving. It's the feeling of forward momentum towards something that matters. You've felt this yourself. You achieve a goal, something you worked hard for, and for a moment, there's joy, a real sense of satisfaction. But it fades, quickly. Because that moment of arrival is not what gives life its juice. It's the journey, the progress, the battle, the direction. That's why we are not just reward-driven creatures. We are aim-driven. We are directional. Without a target, we fall apart. But not just any target will do. The quality of your aim shapes the quality of your life. A shallow aim makes for a shallow existence. A selfish aim leaves you hollow. But a noble aim, one rooted in truth, discipline, and service, organizes your entire life. It gives meaning to your suffering. It gives structure to your days. It gives strength to your soul. This isn't moralism. This is survival. Think about the moral rules you learned as a child. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Tell the truth. Be kind. Help others. Why were you taught those things? At some point, you may have asked yourself, why should I tell the truth if lying gets me ahead? Why play fair if cheating works? That's not a foolish question. That's the beginning of real thinking. But here's what you discover. When you manipulate the world for short-term gain, you erode the very ground you stand on. You lose grip on reality. You fracture your integrity. And the one who pays the highest price is your future self. That's who suffers the consequences. And make no mistake, that future self is you, not someone else. You. So when you betray your principles for momentary gain, you are handing a heavier burden to the version of you who has to carry it later. This is why meaning matters. This is why noble aims matter. Because suffering is baked into life. You will lose people you love. You will face betrayal. Your body will age. Dreams will crumble. You will feel lost. The only way to not be destroyed by all this is to adopt a mode of existence that justifies the pain, not explains it, justifies it, makes it worth it. And that's what a noble aim does. You see this in myth again and again. Look at the story of Marduk, the Mesopotamian god with eyes all around his head. He doesn't flee chaos. He confronts it. He speaks order into the abyss. He slays the dragon and builds the world out of its corpse. That's what you are called to do. Open your eyes, speak the truth, step into the unknown, face the dragons of your life voluntarily, and from the wreckage, create something better. This is not just ancient poetry. This is the blueprint for surviving reality. And more than surviving, thriving, transforming. Where the postmodernists failed was in thinking that because there are many meanings, all are equal. They aren't. Some interpretations build resilience, others breed despair. You're not searching for perfect truth. You're searching for a structure that holds something you can stand on when the storms come. Ask yourself, what kind of life reduces suffering, not just today, but tomorrow too? What kind of life doesn't leave your future self bankrupt? Because you are your future self. You're just a few pages further along. And if you live today in a way that betrays that future, you will pay. There's no escaping that truth. So aim high. Choose something that's worth the hardship. Because when the pain comes, and it will, only a noble aim will make it bearable. Only a noble aim will make you strong enough to walk through fire and come out the other side. Better, sharper, more human. Not just alive, but truly alive. Rise, diary, the fire that forges you.